Hey there, folks. This is Richard. In case you're just tuning in, this is the second of the final 2 episodes of Hello, This is the Doomed Show with my good friend Nafa. Nafa passed away about a month ago at the time of this recording, and I really wanted to get these episodes out to you, listeners out there. Luckily, I record these way in advance, so I was able to actually have 2 episodes with him. I can play From Beyond the Grave, which I'm sure he would have found very amusing. Thanks to Nafa, my website Doomed Moviethon exists. Sometime in 2002, 2001, he and I had a conversation about horror movies, and that inspired me to kickstart my dormant horror engine that was inside my body. I think that's where it was. Thanks to his enthusiasm, I just dove back into something that I hadn't really paid much attention to since the 90s. And once the podcast started going, he was a natural fit. He didn't even listen to podcasts. Much like me, I did not listen to podcasts before Brad introduced me to some great shows. And then I did the same with Nafa, although I think he only listened to our show. So I was very surprised that he jumped at the chance to be on the podcast with me. And we recorded quite a few episodes together. He's easily the most anarchic voice on the show. He certainly was the craziest in terms of his humor and derailing any conversation with double entendres, as well as saying just anything that came into his head. That sometimes I had to do some judicious cutting, but not too often. He also has the reputation for being the hardest to edit out of all the co-hosts. Nafa was notoriously soft-spoken, so I would spend just that extra amount of time making sure that y'all could hear him. So, folks, I really appreciate your kind words and condolences. This has been a crazy time for everyone that knew him. I wanted to make sure that his legacy on Hello, This is the Doom Show is preserved. As I said before in the other episode, Brad and I will be doing a tribute show. We're going to cover a movie that the 3 of us were supposed to do together, and I'm really looking forward to that. Don't know when we're going to work on that, but it's going to be pretty soon. I'm not sure what else to say on this final episode about my friend. He was an amazing musician. I know everyone that worked with him in various bands over the years. We're all jealous of his ability to play any song that he heard. He could do just about anything, be it guitar or piano or singing. He had a great voice. He loved movies. He was especially fond of the films from his childhood, like Indiana Jones. He also loved Gregory's Girl. He also loved Superman and Superman 2. Planet of the Apes. He was big into found footage. You can listen to our found footage episode. It was, found footage episodes. He was definitely an expert on those. He loved Rob Zombie, just like Brad and myself. He loved Mila Jovovich, so I assume that at some point we would have done a Resident Evil retrospective or something like that. He was also my go-to guy for going to the theater. If there was any horror movie in the theater that my poor wife, Lietta, didn't want to go see because although she enjoys horror movies, she doesn't like being trapped in the theater with them. That was not her favorite. So Nafa would join me for as many horror movies in the theater experiences that we could do. Tyler Perry's Boo, a Medea Halloween, may have been the pinnacle of those visits. Although braving a tropical storm / hurricane to go and see Rob Zombie's 31 was, that was something else. So yeah, I'm not sure where else to go with this. I knew him for 16 years, and I was lucky enough to have him as my coworker for that entire time in the building where I work. And in the last few years, he was in the cubicle next to me, so I was able to monopolize his time for 40 hours a week on top of all the hanging outs and movie watching and podcasting we got to do. So I was very lucky in that regard. I have to figure out a new way for my brain to function without him, because I had grown quite dependent on his voice and his taste in all things music and movies, comic books, food, which route to take to get to somewhere in Tampa. You know, he was more than just an expert on William Shatner's music career, I promise. So again, I thank you. Just enjoy his voice and his sense of humor. I know I did, and I know I'll continue to. I can't believe how lucky I am to have known him for as long as I did, and that I have so many hours of his voice captured on these podcasts. Thank you so much, folks, for indulging me. I guess on with the show.
I'll get you! I'll get you, bastards!
Hello, this is the Doom Show. Richard, Brad, Jeffrey, Nafa. It's the Doom Show. Hello, this is the Doom Show. Slashers, giallo, and horror. It's the Doom Show. The cuckoo clock interrupts the show. Doomed movie-thon. Death of the old salesman. Sweaty Cameron Mitchell. This is the Doom Show. Richard, Brad, Jeffrey, Nafa. It's the Doom Show. It's the Doomed Show. Doom Show.
Was
The burlap.
Yes, that was it.
It was so good.
Not just the
Oh, man. It was perfect.
It was like, yeah!
Burlap. All right. Here we go. Hello and welcome to Hello, this is the Doom Show. I am Richard. I am once again in Doomed Show West, kicking it school with Nafa. Hello, Nafa.
I made a promise to myself that I wasn't gonna steal Matt Torrance's patented hello like I do every time, so I gotta think of something new. So,
Okay.
In honor of the film we watched and its country of origin, Kia ora! Oh wait, that's Scottish, isn't it?
Oh, fuck.
Well, it's Kia ora. There we go. Kia ora. Hey!
We got a couple of
haters
here.
Got a couple of haters. Kia ora. There we go. It's going to be
Wow.
the New York Kia ora. From
Nice. I like that. We are talking about a film from Australia and New Zealand. It's a co-production. The two finest nations on Earth came together in 1984, more specifically November of 1984, and made Death Warmed Up, a.k.a. Death Warmed Over,
A.K.A.
Nero Killers. That's the Italian title. The German title is Robot Maniac, and the Argentina title is Reanimator I, or Reanimator 1. I'm not sure which.
I just thought there were going to be more variants of Death Warmed.
On
Ham.
my face.
Death Warmed to my aunt. I don't know.
Death Warmed to Michael's package. This is directed by David...
The rest of them will be here in 30 seconds.
This is directed by David Blythe, a director that I forgot to write down things. This guy, he's done some horror stuff.
He's a blithe spirit.
He's a Blythe on humanity. He directed something that I watched as a kid, and I did not like at all, but it's okay because he got fired from it. And that was The Horror Show, also known as House 3, The Horror Show. That was going to be his big American debut, I think. And for whatever reason, he was fired from that. I think that's on Blu-ray now, so if somebody has any idea why they replaced the director on that one, I have no idea. But this guy, he has made Red-Blooded American Girl, which is a weird vampire movie. He also did the sequel to that, cleverly titled Red-Blooded American Girl 2. He did some episodes of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
There were a lot of actors who were intertwined with the Power Rangers here. And for some reason, I think it was filmed. Some of those episodes were filmed in New Zealand.
He also did something called My Grandpa is a Vampire, which I pray that Jeffrey never wants to see, because it has Al Lewis in it. Ugh. Please see our episode on, was it Frightmare? Oh, God. Ugh. He's so terrible. So terrible.
Actually, Richard means Fright House, and not Frightmare. But whatever. It's cool. He's dumb.
We're going to spoil this movie.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about pretty much the whole movie, whatever we could glean from the crazy shit we just watched. If you can find it, check the Mill Creek pack that has it, or it's probably on YouTube.
Go find it, bro.
Where's the Blu-ray? I've been asking that all night. Where's the Blu-ray?
He has indeed, and rightfully so.
It started as a simple vacation. A trip to paradise that held the promise of sun, sand, and sensual pleasure. But for Michael and his friends, the fun ended early. You may have only one life to live, but there are many ways to die. And this movie shows all of them. Death warmed up. It's not for the squeamish or the faint of heart. It's for everyone with a taste for torture. Torment. Feels too good. And torn limbs. If you like seeing people fight fire with fire, bare their brains. Ride to glory. Let it all hang out. Give themselves a jolt. Make a point. If you think that's cool, then you're hot for death warmed up. The motion picture that goes too far for your own good. Death warmed up.
I want to get into the plot and just get through this plot because as crazy as it is, it's not as complicated as Seven Deaths in the Cat's Eye. Uh-oh. What did you find?
He directed a music video from a band called Damn Laser Vampires.
That's the name of the band?
Yeah. And in the music video, a horror story unfolds during the concert of the band Damn Laser Vampires. Or maybe it's not a music video. Maybe it's a film, but it says it's a short and a musical.
Wow. We should probably we should track that down. This science fiction-y horror splatter movie begins with what I called zine credits. What did you call it?
They're done like post-Sex Pistols punk rock credits. Exactly. Like cut out from the newspaper headlines.
What's funny about that is I expected there to be way more punk rock in the movie. And there's some New Zealand rock.
There's just some, straightforward bar rock, which was at that time also kind of a, I don't want to say alternative, but they did flirt with strange ideas. Ironically, an Auckland band just started following me on Twitter.
Oh?
That just popped up right
nice.
now. This film was filmed in Auckland. So
see? Look at that.
Talk about circadian rhythm method. What? No.
Nice. The music in this part is gorgeous. I really like the music in this opening sequence. It's really
everything in the opening sequence is sudden.
Ah!
The music, the cuts, everything.
Yeah, very wild.
Sudden.
That's going to be a theme running for this entire film.
One thing I did want to note, that this film was pre-Peter Jackson gore. I don't think he started working on Bad Taste till 1984, and that's when this film came out. But it's also post The Good Earth, post-apocalyptic type.
Quiet Earth?
Quiet Earth. Quiet Earth. Yeah, not the... Yeah, I even wrote the Quiet Earth. It's set in the in-between times.
Nice. The music is by Mark Nicholas, and all of it is golden. All of the freaking music in this is wonderful. Love it. I don't know what else he did. I didn't really recognize any of the titles. Wasn't very prolific.
Did he do the music for the shower scene?
There was a hot injection during that scene.
Well, it was a golden shower.
Oh my god! We both made sex joke.
We cut to Michael, our main duder of this movie. He is played by Michael Hurst. And
I love it when an actor plays as a character of the same name.
Just in case he gets confused.
Just no, so the director knows who they're directing at that time.
I'm going to make a joke now. Michael Hurst, if you look at his credits, he's sort of the modern day Bruno Lawrence because he's done a lot of stuff in different things.
You had a theory about New Zealand Australian cinema.
Yeah,
more so fine point to New Zealand. I'm just going to drop it out there.
Do it.
Such a small microcosm. Everybody knows who the horror actors are, who the comedy actors are, who the drama actors are. They sometimes cross over, but it's a less than 6 degrees of separation in there. And that's carried on because Nathaniel Lees is in this film, who was also later, he did Lord of the Rings movies and Matrix and then The Tattooist, the first Samoan horror film. And a bunch of other Samoan films. So was Michael Hurst. And then you cross over in The Tattooist and you get David Fane, who is a big comedy guy, with Oscar Kitely, who's now doing Disney films, and it's this weird little, but they all work together, and they, you can tell when the older actors are starting to retire and the newer ones are coming up, but they're still all acting together. It's kind of a fun little family reunion every time you watch a New Zealand film.
The one thing I noticed that Michael Hurst has done, he directed some Ash versus the Evil Dead episodes.
Did he?
And there's a weird bit where they go and visit one of the main characters' uncle, and it looks like they're in New Zealand. And I remember watching it with Lietta. I'm like, is this supposed to be like Northern California? Is this supposed to be Mexico? Because wherever they're telling us this is, it looks like New Zealand. And I think that's what they did. They might have actually filmed there for some of it.
It's one of those Frighteners moments.
Yes. Oh, God. Exactly. So Michael's running. We don't know why he's running, but he's running into a hospital complex that looks like the owner of a Lonely Heart video by Yes.
There's some great shots of the buildings, just from weird and opposite angles.
Yep, and they're cut in real fast. Like, bah, 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 bah. He gets inside the hospital, and it's so cheap. The sets are so cheap, and it was something you picked up on. They clearly have sound stages that they've slapped together real quick to be whatever they need it to be. And this hospital is very corny. There's the signs that say warning and danger. They look like they were made with bright neon duct tape and shit like that.
It's very much like music videos around that time.
Oh, yes.
Very much that sort of, we'll make the most of the stage and use fog for the rest. And
that's the way you should do it.
Exactly. It makes it beautiful and atmospheric.
So Michael's witnessing an argument between his father and a guy named Dr. Archer Howell, who's played by Gary Day, mate. His name is Gary Day.
G-Day.
G-Day, mate. And they're arguing about this pseudoscience-y bull slap. And I don't mean to curse, but bull slap. I cannot get the elephant out of my head. We watched a scene from the Brothers Grimsby with an elephant, and it's horrifying.
I had to play that before the film, because if we played it after, it would have just erased any movie.
It's erasing. The clock is ticking where I'll just be elephant sperm. Oh, spoiler alert.
Drenchy. One thing about one of my favorite lines in this entire film is during that exchange between Michael's father and Dr. Howell, where he says something to the effect of, "We're the new messiahs," or something like that. And it was like, oh, that sets a tone that isn't quite lived up to, but it was fun to hear.
Yeah, a lot of Dr. Howell's ideas, much like the ideas of the script, are not fully developed. But they're real good.
It's here, in black and white. Are you blind to this, man? Jesus, Tucker. The process works now, can't you see? The rats are enabling us to open a way to extend life. You seem oblivious to this break.
This mutation strain is basically still untested. We have no clue where it's leading us. You're going too far.
There's no evidence of any side effects to the rats.
Oh? And what about the LD50 mob? You know that autopsy showed there was massive internal hemorrhaging before they died. Before they died! You monitored the 4 stages of deterioration yourself.
You know what you're doing, don't you? You're sabotaging my work, and I don't like it.
I resent this.
You made one big mistake. You're in it with me. Our salvation belongs to medical engineers.
No! Death is final!
We are the new messiahs. We will be wearing the most beautiful of white coats, not in insane asylums, but in chemical biological laboratories. If you choose to stop me, I have no choice but to make you obsolete.
After witnessing his dad get his ass kicked by Dr. Howell, he's running through this complex and running, and then he runs into Dr. Howell, and it's the most homoerotic moment. He's like, "Oh, Michael, you're all sweaty. You should wash up." So Michael goes and has this awesome shower scene.
The shower is in the middle of what would normally be... Picture any typical high school movie lab. Take out all the work tables and all the Bunsen burners and just put a shower head in the middle of the room.
And then have a gratuitous butt shot for over and over again while he's very sensually washing himself. Meanwhile, Dr. Howell is sneaking around with a big-ass hypodermic needle.
Loading his syringe and getting ready to do another gratuitous butt shot.
He grabs him from behind. Where else do you grab a man?
In the shower.
And then he sticks him in the butt with the needle. And then we cut to him being carried through the halls.
Yeah, he's like the Pieta.
Yeah, he's carried. I wrote, "Carry Jesus." So good.
Oh, can you imagine Jim Carrey as Jesus?
It was called the movie with Morgan Freeman. Like, I am God, damn it. Darn it. Oh, forget it.
Passion of the Christ.
Next thing you know, Michael's being experimented on by Dr. Howell, and we cut jarringly to his parents watching Dr. Howell on TV be interviewed about this new, frontiers of science, and the new Messiah thing is thrown around again and all that stuff. Mom is wearing the lingerie, and I'm just losing my mind because, she's milfy. She's Michael's milfy. She's a milfy.
She gives you a see-through upstairs and a peek down under.
I could see her hobbit hole. Dad and Mom are about to get intimate.
But she does give us the title of the film.
She says the title of the film at like 8 minutes in. She's like, "You look like Death Warmed Over."
And then they start to do it.
Oh, they start to get it on because...
She's a necrophiliac.
It's ridiculous. So much is happening in just this small amount of time.
And you noticed the great big sex toy that was in there. That boom mic.
So boom mic drops in.
And then they cut.
We're not alone. Someone's listening.
Do you know something? I am just so proud of you.
It frightens me.
I want you to forget.
Michael shows up. He interrupts their loving, so they start to get ready for this event that they're going to. Apparently, it's the lingerie ball
because they both have shoes on, and
they're about to have sex with their shoes on. It's so great. Michael comes in, and he's got a big old 12-gauge shotgun and just kills his parents.
Shoots her right in the mommy sack.
Yeah, I never noticed that before. He totally shoots her in the groin.
Yeah.
In the crotcholia, which is a woman part. I'm losing my mind.
One observation.
Yep.
I kind of wish that he'd have showed up in something completely ludicrous. Not in his school uniform.
Right.
If he was wearing one of the girls' school uniforms.
Nice.
Or something. Just to make it that much more like, what is...
Like, dressed like a soda jerk.
But then have the implication that Dr. Howell dressed him. into whatever.
Oh my God.
That would have blown my mind.
There is a shot because I think Dr. Howell or somebody's giving him a ride to the house, and this actor has just got his eyes crossed or his eyes rolled back?
I think they were just glazed over, rolled back.
Oh, it was so funny.
And I think he had like more zombified makeup.
Yeah, Dr. Howell has definitely put the whammy on him, if you know what I mean, in the shower. So after he shoots Mom in the mom hole, here's where I think the gore is important, because I think we're dealing with a composite cut, where they're taking the best version they could find that was censored, and then taking a VHS version with the gore and splicing them in. Because the splatter we see, I don't remember from the other cut of this movie I'm more familiar with. So I think I managed to get a more splattery cut of this movie.
I gotta say, I really don't remember it from the first time. And I could check the DVD.
Yeah, I've got my copy. I actually transferred it from the Vestron videotape years ago. I haven't watched it in a long time. And you can find this movie on one of the Mill Creek horror packs now. It actually showed up. But I haven't checked that yet. So we cut to the insane asylum where Michael is sequestered. He's all wrapped up in a diaper, and he's got a diaper on and a straitjacket. He's freaking out, and that's when you notice the music video look to it.
Yeah, that's got a very V-shaped room with the walls, and
it's all very stark.
There's a lot of that sort of V-shape. Now that I think about it, towards the end when they're running through or towards the middle where they're running through the tunnels with the pink triangles and the lights and the yellow. Well, there were yellow and pink lights that were...
The pink triangle was pretty amazing. I was like, hello!
That was played by Nathan Lane.
Michael is being watched. I like that. Michael's being watched by Dr. Howell, and he's freaking out, and then he starts to come out of his psychosis, and he's like, I'm innocent. 7 years later, we're going to have 3 title cards here, 2 of which are going to explain what's going on. It's ridiculous. I love it. They should have title cards like the whole movie. And then we cut right to a surgery scene.
With one of the title cards just sort of throws you into it.
Yeah.
Mr. Tex Monroe.
Oh my God.
Which is...
Bruno Lawrence.
The finest Kiwi actor of the 70s, 80s, and
I wish he was still alive.
Yeah.
He died way too young. Bruno Lawrence is the Bruno Lawrence of New Zealand cinema. We've seen him in such things as The Quiet Earth, and basically, like Nafa said, every frickin' New Zealand movie he was in it.
He was in Utu and so many other things. And of course, now that I have to think of what he was in, I am drawing a blank.
I think he was in Jack Be Nimble, which is a really strange movie. Let me just
make sure I'm not barking up the ass end of a dong tree. I mean, what?
He was only in 40 things. Wow.
It seems like so many more, because you keep running into him.
Well, for a while there, it was like, and the joke about us being like, oh, yeah, we'll see him in this. And boom. Oh, there he is. And there he is.
I highly recommend if you can track down Jack Be Nimble. It's 1993 psychological horror movie with the recently deceased Alexis Arquette. And just a really strange film. I have a feeling that Bruno Lawrence was a villain in that movie. I can't remember. He's definitely in this movie as a monstrosity.
If you didn't know to look for him, you could easily overlooked that he was in it.
Oh my God.
He was Ricky and Pete. He was also in that.
The surgery scene is very bizarre. It's very wet, very gory, just blood flying everywhere. But what's really interesting about this surgery is that the set design and the costume design, the nurses' outfits have traditional white nurses' outfits, slashed and cut up, and the parts they took away were replaced with mesh. And their masks are mesh, which you pointed out, that's really...
It's not sanitary.
No. That prevents us from not seeing who your nose is.
And they were wearing
shower caps.
Yeah. You said you had an observation. Did you say you had an observation?
I did.
Point? So did I.
It reminded me of Shock Treatment, the sequel to Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Which is funny because I have that later on in a different scene.
I'm telling you.
And you're absolutely right. The note that I put down was, if Robert Palmer were a surgeon and all his girls were nurses, that's what this would have totally been.
You're gonna have to face it. You're a dick to love.
Now you have to put up a picture of a dick.
Video podcast. The other thing is when Dr. Howell is surgerying up this brain and he's cutting it up and he's taking a freaking tooth drill to it. He's doing a Dremel, all kinds of shit. And all of a sudden, the brain is pulsing like it has like whoop, 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 whoop.
Well, you know, in New Zealand, when you're south of the equator, toilets flush the other direction. Well, hearts and brains switch places as well.
Oh.
It's an equatorial thing.
That explains Viagra to monkeys. I don't know what that meant. I'm glad I said it.
I have an unwatched Bruno Lawrence film.
Oh my god. It's Ricky and Pete on MGM DVD.
Well, this was the one that $2.
Nice.
This was the one that Neil Finn did all the music for.
Ah, cool.
A lot of the music for.
Nice.
And Crowded House had a song in there that wasn't actually released until years later. So file that under Finn Brothers.
Booyah. So he's definitely operating on Bruno Lawrence's bald head. But that's the last of Bruno Lawrence we'll see without lots and lots of makeup.
One of the things I loved about it, after they made him a monstrosity, they also gave him a manic panic hair dye.
They must have been at Hot Topic.
I think it was that pillar box bread that I used to use on my stripe.
Nice.
Then there was a title card.
There's another title card that just said, now, ... Oh my god, like... it doesn't... The movie will feel like the future, which definitely needs to be run, jumped, and changed.
It definitely started in 84.
Yeah.
So we're talking now, this is probably about 96?
Yeah. Like 96 or something. It's ridiculous. Michael's out of the...
Oh my god, that makes so much sense now.
Why?
Because of the characters we're about to meet, and I made a comment that there was a certain time and place when everybody felt like they were in a post-apocalyptic punk rock world.
Exactly.
And that was their vision of 96. Were all these... Oh, that makes so much sense now.
There
it's
you
not
go.
just a small island thing. It's the future.
It's the World Wide Web. AOL. NZOL. The Zoy line.
Bidet, mate.
We see Michael, and he now has a lady friend. Her name is Sandy. And Sandy is played by, who I thought had a porn name, Margaret Umbers. Like, check out the Umbers on that one. She looks like...
Princess Stephanie of Monaco, circa 83, 84.
You showed me a picture of said princess, and it looked exactly like this Umbers lady. It was really funny.
If you weren't around to see her then, I mean, you could Google her and make sure you put the 80s in there, because you'll get some frightening recent pictures. No offense, Princess Stephanie.
Hey.
Because I know she listens.
She writes in regularly.
Apparently big in Monaco.
She's complaining about why we don't talk about her enough.
Yeah,
so.
And if you don't know who we're talking about, and you don't want to Google anything, she had shorter hair, very masculine features, and very masculine stern face, but at that same time, it could be very hot.
Exactly.
And and Princess Stephanie always looked stern, but not necessarily a bad thing.
Michael is now bleach blonde.
He's Rutger Hauer.
He looks like a freaking replicant, and he's about as emotional as a replicant until the end of the movie. He and Sandy and his weird friends, Jeannie and Lucas, they are going to this island because Michael wants to find Dr. Howell. Now, apparently, this is very strange part of the plot. Kind of depressing when you think about it later. The conversation they're having is that Jeannie, who's, keeps not saying this actress's name, is Norelle Scott. Now, she doesn't know why they're there. She thinks they're just having a little weekend getaway as they're riding this ferry out to this island. There's this big thing about how she doesn't know why they're there, that Lucas and Michael and she know, but Jeannie doesn't. And warp, warp. And we're going to find out later that it's really, really not cool that she didn't know. Like, it really sucks that she didn't have a clue as to what she was signed up for. Lucas and Jeannie are totally getting it on in their car.
Yeah. No, they were pretty much getting it on the hood.
Yeah.
Then decide to go into the back seat of this beautiful Ford Falcon.
You know, it's hilarious. But, oh yeah, there's a joke you made right before they started making out in the car. He had his eyes closed and the sun's beating down in his face. And all of a sudden she takes a spoon of yogurt and puts the yogurt in his mouth. And you're like, it's a seagull.
It's a seagull. Guess what?
Oh, so they go in and talk to the ferry boat captain. And this guy's amazing. He is wondering why they're coming to the island. They're asking him about Dr. Howell. It's very, very leading questions about the tunnels. Apparently there was some World War II tunnels.
Yeah, which I didn't quite get his wording, but I didn't.
He's like, you don't want to go down there.
Stay at the hotel.
Exactly. It's very ominous. It's just a great scene. All of this stuff that's happening for like the next 10, 20 minutes of the movie. Really, really menacing, ominous, weird vibe. Very strange, very off stuff going on. And then there's the van. There's a rad, bad van on the ferry with them.
Yellow. And I don't know if it's an ambulance. That's what I'm guessing. Is it's a painted ambulance.
It's like a thing with the ramming bars on the front.
It's very 1940s looking, 50s looking.
And the windows are blacked out too.
But then again, a lot of vehicles in New Zealand at that time were that similar styling. So it could have been a 70s car for
Could have been a motorcycle.
Could have been a bird.
Meep, 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 meep. Oh, that's the rats from the other movie. So there's two creepy characters sitting in that van. We've got Spider, played by David Lech. I didn't catch the other guy's name. He's one of the... I don't want to offend anyone, but he's a mutant.
They remind me very much of the two body snatchers from Max Headroom.
Nice.
Nitty-gritty time. What I'm talking about, and you're not, is that more people prefer the new refreshing taste of Coke over Pepsi. It's true. More people are, as we Cokeologists say, catching the wave. Catch it if you can. Catch the wave. Coke.
Yeah. The ones
That's my Max Headroom.
Went around selling body parts from accidents and stuff.
So good. So while Jeannie and Lucas are making the sex act in front of basically anyone who's on the ferry,
there's two cars on the ferry, a pilot or a captain of the boat, two people in the van, another person in the underneath of the ferry, which turns out to be Bruno Lawrence, I believe.
Yep.
And then the two friends. So all eyes on the back of the Ford. They chose the biggest window with the biggest back seat.
Oh my god, it's so funny. The Lech says I think legendary cinematic line, "I love the smell of blonde pussy in the morning."
I like the smell of blonde pussy in the morning.
And she was redhead.
I think he doesn't know what a blonde is. Maybe he doesn't know what anything is. While they're watching, the mutant beside the mutant beside Spider starts getting all freaked out, and his brain starts pulsing in his head. Not that head, the one on his shoulders, you sicko. And all I could think about was like, Spider's like, man, are you okay? Are you okay? I kept waiting for him to go, can you regulate? Can you regulate? From Iron Man 3. That's what I was thinking about. It's like, oh my god, the Mandarin's pulling the strings. Pull strings. Man.
Duran.
Bruno Lawrence as Tex, aka Mr. Monroe. He interrupts the sex by just poking his head in the window like, hey, you got your tickets?
It was amazing because
they cut.
The character was a hunchback and with all this red dyed hair and beard, and it was very much like something out of Bad Taste or something.
Totally. Oh, he's so over the top. It's so, and he's limping, you know. I
totally would not have recognized Bruno Lawrence if you just showed me a picture of him.
It's just great.
It's fantastic.
Michael and Lucas noticed this van, and they saw that it has the doctor's insignia on it. The imagery we'll be seeing from him is like really, really stark, very
fascist.
Orwellian. Yeah.
I didn't.
Big Brother's watching you or some shit.
I didn't catch what TCA stood for.
No, I know that.
My junior high school was TCA.
Oh no, I got it. It's this is ridiculous. That's why you didn't get it, because it's fucking ridiculous. It's transcranial applications. The reason I know that is because this was on the VHS tape, but I'll say some of the taglines later.
Ironically, in 1984, when this film was coming out, I was going to a school that its initials were TCA.
Was it transcranial applications?
Essentially the same. Tampa Christian Academy.
That explains your brain.
What?
They notice this van, and it has the logo of Dr. Howell. So while they're scoping it out, Lucas decides to piss on the van, which gets the attention of Spider and his crony. And they get into this awesome, epic fight scene on the frickin'...
which just suddenly ends with him smashing Lech's hand in a door. And instead of reacting, it was just like, okay, well, stop. And so everybody just stops rather than like, oh, my hand is crushed.
Oh, my God. It's so weird. And then...
so New Zealand.
They pile back in the car.
It's so much like a high school play.
And now we're here. And now we're here. And then they go here. It's like a kid telling a story.
Yeah.
Maybe the writers...
Stop. Okay.
Look up the writer. I keep turning my data off because of fucking... This will be a callback to an old episode of Hello, This is the Doom Show, if I am right. So speaking of people who wrote this crazy-ass movie and potentially asking their children to write the film for them, this writer is Michael Heath. He co-wrote it with David Blythe, but the movie that he wrote that we covered on way back on the Doom Show, way back, was Next of Kin from 1982, which is a thriller with Suspiria kind of overtones.
The Australian one? Or?
Yeah, highly recommended. Highly, highly recommended if you can track that one down. I keep waiting for a Blu-ray of that one. Essential. Just if you enjoy the giallo atmosphere transplanted to like New Zealand, Australia, you will enjoy it.
Nice. I know I have that.
I'd probably give you a copy.
Yeah, I do have a copy of that, for sure.
It's phenomenal.
Because every time I see it, I'm like, why did he burn me the Patrick Swayze movie?
Oh, it's so good. Patrick Swayze.
It's my way or the highway.
They pile into the car, and the ferry lands on the island, and they get harassed by freaking Spider and his buddy. And... as they see the ominous poster of Dr. Howell again, like clear as day, that's when the weird tone shift starts, when all of a sudden they have to drop a song in, and it's this I Like to Drive song. It is such a silly song. I like to drive, and ding-a-ding-a-ding.
New Zealand 70s, 80s bar music. I think the equivalent we would have had here would have been like Bob Seger / early John Cougar.
It's definitely better than that.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not just because of the accents.
Well, it's just they got the wrong idea about music and it comes out great.
Then the mood shifts again, and then suddenly ominous, with Jeannie freaking out. So they're driving along this road. All of the synthesizers are creeping up again, and Jeannie's like, there's something out there. And there is.
Yeah, she's, can you hear that? And all you can hear is this.
Wow, wow, wow.
So I'm assuming that somebody was running alongside the car with a boombox going, wow.
Hey, can I get a lift? Bidet, mate.
I'm trying to ride my sheep.
Have you guys seen Arwen? Zing! So there's a van chase, and this takes up like literally 30 seconds of the movie. All of a sudden, Spider is back, and he's about to crash into them. This huge chase scene is about to start when he runs the van off the road, and then they laugh and they keep driving while he's like, "I'll get you, bastards!"
It's great because he ran it off the road literally 8 feet.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like it was run down the hill. It's just like, oh, I can't back up.
And we go into town where there's this complex.
It must be lunchtime at the hospital.
Exactly. So there's a medical complex in a small town that's kind of built around it, so people have some place to go walk about in New Zealand.
Let's say Kiwi stepping.
It keeps throwing me off that that it's supposed to be an Australian New Zealand production, but I feel this is just a New Zealand movie.
It's purely New Zealand. I presume that a couple of the actors and maybe I don't know where one of the directors from Auckland.
Yeah.
So I presume when they say Anzac stuff, it's like, yeah, this is purely New Zealand.
Nice.
Because it was done by the New Zealand Film Commission,
right?
Because it has that.
Oh man! In town, they're talking about what to do, and they're stopped at a stoplight, and all of a sudden, Michael sees Dr. Howell. He casually walks by. Everything comes to a complete slow-mo, and I was waiting for the Kill Bill siren to kick in.
Slow motion head turn.
Oh, it's so good. It's tense. I love it. We cut hard again to Tex, a.k.a. Mr. Monroe, a.k.a. Bruno Lawrence, suffering in the waiting room. He's like suffering in the waiting room in this medical complex, and the nurses are all really amused.
Giggly.
Like, yeah, they're all really hot, and they're all really ridiculously, Robert Palmer?
Yeah, well, there was one of them was like a New Zealand rockabilly chick.
Yes.
Just in a nurse's uniform, but still with the mesh.
Also at this same time, while the doctors are out, they go across the street to Randy Gandhi's. Randy Gandhi.
Shit.
With a very famous character actor.
Jonathan Hardy. From
Mad Max. And, oh my God. He's a New Zealand character actor. And he's the Dabney Coleman of New Zealand.
Speaking of tone shifts, now we have him portraying a very racist stereotype of an Indian grocer.
It was fantastic.
And it just goes into pure comedy. He's yelling at presumably his wife in the back who's making the food that they ordered. And he's screaming at her. And all of a sudden, the video game that the kids are playing in the front of the store sets him off. And he has like a weird mental like, oh, and he loses his mind.
60 seconds of slapstick in there. And it's also where they first really showed Jackson.
Yeah.
The assistant to Dr. Howell, who is played by Nathaniel Lees, who is a prominent Samoan actor. He's done things like Sione's Wedding, which is also called Samoan Wedding, and the sequel, 1 and 2, Tattooist, 2 of the 3 Lord of the Rings movies, 2 of the 3 Matrix movies. I said the Tattooist. He was also a fairly regular on Hercules and Xena in that universe.
Wow.
But this will be the third time I've said the Tattooist, but that is the first Samoan horror film ever produced and made. And he had a prominent role in that. It's a good film. It's worth checking out. You can find it in the clearance bin at Walmart.
The movie had been over for 5 minutes, and you put on a movie on your TV, and then all of a sudden there was Mr. Lees, like right there, like, you 3 idiots.
he was playing this stern. That was from Sione's Sione's Wedding 2 or Sione 2 because it should have been called Sione's Funeral, but that's the spoiler.
Oh!
But in that series of films, he plays a very stern, always annoyed and pissed off minister. Samoan minister.
So good.
Always in black, even when he's playing golf and stuff. But, he's one of those, like I was saying earlier, about the crossovers with New Zealand and Samoan actors and how the older generation are still acting with the newer ones and blah, blah, blah. So there's a connection. He's still making movies.
Nice.
He's still kicking it.
Good day, Dr. Hal, sir. It's a lovely, lovely day. Very hot and dusty. Oh, and Mr. Jackson, hello.
Dr. Howell finally comes in to see good old Tex, and he's asking him what's wrong, and he's like, I can't stand the pain, which I sampled for a song. I made a little synthesizer piece called Undead Kiwi Mutants, and I threw samples from this scene into my song.
What is the matter with you today, Mr. Munro?
You bastard! I can't stand the pain! It's eating me alive!
And this is also where I noticed Dr. Howell looked like Farley Flavors from Shock Treatment.
Folks, if you haven't seen Shock Treatment, you got to. When I heard there was a sequel to Rocky Horror, I was so baffled because it's something that you don't think should exist, and also you think you should have heard of it. Then when you watch it, you find out it's such a weird beast that it both exceeds your expectations and lets you down in the most obvious way, which in ways, and this is blasphemy, but in ways, I find it superior to Rocky Horror. It's definitely more of a real movie.
It also has Rick Mayall from The Young Ones.
Holy shit.
As Ricky.
It's such a good movie.
And Little Nell. It has Little Nell at the pinnacle of her Little Nellness, and that alone should be reason to watch it.
Do the swim.
You'll be pathetically crazy about Shock Treatment. Trust me. I'm a doctor.
And of course, Tex, a.k.a. Mr. Monroe, a.k.a. Bruno Lawrence, was not kidding. He literally couldn't stand the pain. And right when they're about to administer some kind of drug or whatever they're going to do, his fucking head explodes. Which is funny. You noticed it. His head goes pop, like they just, and skull fragments and everything and brain are exposed. But they cut so fast. This was one of the only gore sequences that should have been more gory that wasn't in this version. I expected there to be more.
It was
abrupt.
It was the cock tease scene. One way that I liked how abrupt and all of a sudden the scene shifts.
Yes.
But on the other hand, it's Bruno Lawrence and it's his last gasp.
Yeah.
Give him
he should have had a major.
They should have. I mean, it's Bruno.
Right.
Lawrence.
Exactly. And who knows? Maybe he was busy that year.
It was just like, hey, we couldn't recognize him and he didn't sound like him.
No. Michael and the gang arrive at the tunnels. And this is my standout scene. This is my jam right here. There's this weird, creepy looking entrance to a tunnel that clearly looks like it's been there since the war. It probably really was tunnels they built to survive bombing runs, or
Japanese.
For bomb shelter. This is the standout scene for me because all of a sudden it's sort of fisheye lens and just, really soaking up all that awesome New Zealand island locations. And it's just fantastic. And Jeannie is creeped out. She's like, what are we doing here? This is weird. She's not saying anything, but she's really reluctant to continue down this path into the friggin' tunnel system.
Until you pointed it out, I was focusing on how much it seemed like a Peter Jackson shot from...
Totally.
Which I don't doubt that when they were making Bad Taste, he stole that framing.
Yeah.
But when you started mentioning how you love this shot, I totally saw it because you have Jeannie with the background with the lush green and the blue skies.
Yeah.
And then cut over to her friends with the tunnel entrance. So it kept doing this light, dark thing.
Yeah.
And that just made her fear that much more palpable.
That's
and
really
if you hadn't have said anything, I would have been, man, that's a nice shot. But now I'm like, whoa, there's a lot more going on in that one shot than in all of Randy Gandy's.
Oh, jeez. Randy Gandy. The only scene that it reminds me of from horror is in Texas Chainsaw Massacre with the one girl walking and the camera's real low, just capturing her butt, like as almost the center of the screen as she's headed towards Leatherface's domicile. Kind of reminded me of that.
I can see it also being sort of like, almost like the beginning of The Descent 2.
Yeah.
I think, maybe. Or maybe 1, where they're approaching
2.
Maybe I'm thinking 1. I'm trying to. One of them I thought was pretty hesitant to go in. I believe it was The Descent, or that stupid film about the family who lives in the caves that I cannot for the life of me remember. And it's only less than 10 years old.
Or Offspring?
It might have been one. I'll have to double check.
They get inside the tunnels, and Jeannie says, "Let's stay together." And then they separate. Immediately they separate. The guys and the girls get separated. The girls find a dead end, and all of a sudden, someone drops the body of one of the mutants. I don't know if it was supposed to be...
I think it was Bruno Lawrence.
I have no idea. It was very strange. Yeah, I guess it was supposed to be Bruno Lawrence. It did not look like him, even though Bruno Lawrence didn't look like himself. And
because it had sort of a hump.
Yes, there we go. And then the fucking movie goes crazy. Motorcycles in the tunnels.
Chasing after them all.
Because it's stunt people on motorcycles riding through this tunnel system, I had no idea that it was supposed to be Spider and his mutant guy. It's them chasing them through the tunnels, and you made a funny point. You're like, so they got a lot out of this 20 seconds of footage.
It just was recut and reversed, and we're running upstairs, we're running downstairs, here comes the motorcycle, another pink triangle, another yellow triangle. Yeah, it was like 3 minutes of footage, and like God. 20 seconds of filming, and so the tunnels are beneath the hospital?
Yes.
I mean, they never really addressed that again later at the end. I don't believe they. It's just like, okay, the body is there, so maybe that's where they just dumped the body.
Brad and I encountered this on He Knows You're Alone. We're like, what is this tunnel system under the morgue? What? We didn't know what was going on. So Jeannie gets injured during this insanity with the motorcycles. She gets hit in the head really badly. So as they're escaping, Lucas sets a trap with a bunch of junk he found in the tunnel and manages to spear the mutant guy through the chest or stomach with this rebar or something. Good old Spider is a little upset about this. He manages to pull his friend off of it. And then we cut hard again to them back in the car, the gang all back in the car, driving to get Jeannie some help. Michael, however, that's not part of his plan. He's in the zone trying to get to Howell to kill him, and Jeannie is bleeding to death from a head wound in the back of the car. It's just bickering and screaming and quiet resolve moments. It's what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. If it isn't enough, because this is actually where I stopped writing notes.
Oh yeah, I'm almost to where I stopped.
Because after this point with the tunnels and the motorcycle chase and then the intense car ride, I had just written so much atmosphere.
Yeah.
Which, little did I know we were in the shallow end of that pool. Because coming up to the bar is where we're fully immersed.
Totally.
And, yeah. At this point, you just sort of like buckle in and enjoy the ride.
Exactly. You've gotta... At this stage, I can't help but show my hand and recommend this film to anybody who hasn't seen it.
It's kind of like making straight lines out of Cool Whip. You really can't.
And that's how they mapped out the structure.
Yeah.
With New Zealand Cool Whip.
Cool Whip.
Cool Whip.
Yum, yum, yum. Cool Whip. Yum, 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 yum. Comes whip. Yum, 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 yum. All whip. Yum, 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 yum. Cool Whip. Yum, 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 yum.
So Spider takes his mutant pal to Dr. Howell for help, and there's a really weird exchange right here where the doctor refuses to help and then is questioning Spider about the kids in the tunnel and what's going on with that. Spider's telling him there's something wrong with his friend, and then he says, "It's inside me." And I'm like, my arms are in the air like, what? is happening. No information is being exchanged. And that's when Howell tells his assistant to dispose of him. And I thought he meant the body of his friend, but then the Dr. Dr. Jackson, he just gets him with like this hilarious, like Ghostbusters looking cattle prod thing.
It's a cattle. I thought it was going to be a flamethrower,
right?
When I first saw it,
but it's like a stun gun.
But yeah, it's like a
I thought it was a guitar.
Yeah,
when he was walking up, I was like,
I'm gonna play some wicked Samoan riffs.
Oh my god, Wild Stallions rule! No, wait, that's not Samoan. So he refuses help, and the best moment is he pushes Spider onto his friend on the gurney, and his face goes right into his guts. I was like, holy shit, man.
Another one of those prize moments.
What? So Spider gets shocked by Dr. Jackson's frickin' guitar / shocker, and he just screams and runs off.
His Prodicaster.
What are you doing here? What the hell's going on here? Speak! Well?
There's something wrong. It's in me. You gotta help me. Get your hands off me. Some kids in the tunnel. They got away. They're responsible.
Who?
Where are they? I can't help you.
I have no time for this. No time. Dispose of them.
He calls in his homies.
He attacks the one guard who's sitting watching steam. There's a guard sitting there just watching steam. I'm not sure.
I was a security guard for a long time, and that is like the worst job, the steam watching.
The steam watching?
Yep. Oh my god. So he opens this door, these double doors, and all of these mutants come out, and they all look kind of the same, and they're like, "Roar!" And he's like, "Nothing will stop me now. Dingity dingy." It's awesome.
Like, what?
It is so awesome.
Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing!
So we cut to the bar scene, and this pub is going to have a siege in a moment.
Very typical down under bar. Watering hole. Country music. Because surprisingly, New Zealand, Australia, there's a huge country music
But
scene.
what song is playing?
They're playing Stand By Your Man. Of course.
Fucking Blues Brothers.
Another New Zealand version of Stand By, not Tammy Wynette.
Nope.
Not Lyle Lovett.
Nope.
It was, I forgot, it was a single name like Sherelle.
Yeah, something totally generic.
Yeah.
Lucas is trying to call for help. He's called this hospital. They think it's a hospital still. The guy on the phone, I think he's talking to Jackson. Or he's talking to...
Yeah, Jackson, he was having a conversation with Jackson. We're coming to get you.
We've got an emergency. But once he finds out they were the kids in the tunnels, then he's like, stay where you are.
Any luck? No. Hello? Hello? Is that the Institute? Who's there? Well, who are you? Look, we've got an injured girl. We need your help. She's dying.
Listen, kid. We have got an emergency on here. A breakout of psycho patients.
What do you mean a breakout? We've already been attacked.
Holy shit. Not again.
She's dying.
Breakout. Where's the rest of you?
Ask him. Hang on.
We gotta get out of here before it's too late.
You still there? Hello?
While they're on the phone, the mutants are headed there. The mutants cut the power.
By just pulling it out of... Which...
It's so boss.
The power already... ... We'll continue this in a little bit.
Oh no, that's a clusterfuck and a half right there. They just cut the power to the pub.
Oh.
Which is... Maybe the pub powered the whole island.
Yeah.
Hey, that would be true of Ireland. That was vague.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Bam! The bartender is hip to this shit. He's like, oh shit, they're here. You guys hide the women. We gotta get out of here. And sure enough, the mutants invade. There's an awesome siege. And you were saying atmosphere.
Yeah.
Everything's blue. Everything is foggy. Everything is confused and crazy. Reminded me of a little film called Mutant with Wings Hauser from, I think, 82, 83, around there. Probably going to be covered on the show sometime with Brad, and he and I talked about it. Very reminiscent of just when all the shit goes down. But these aren't zombies. These are mutants.
Oh, zombies.
Meow.
Yeah, not there.
Jeannie's trapped in the car, so of course the mutants want to get at her. Everyone's too scared to go outside. Except for the pub owner. He's like, I'm going to reason with them. And he goes out, and it's one of those great... to me, this felt Australian, where it was just like that humor of walking out, like, guys, and he's reasoning with them. And then the camera's so close to his face, you can't see anything else. And then, bam, something comes out of there, out of nowhere, and just bashes him in the head. It's so fucking awesome.
There's so many silhouettes and fog in this.
Oh, yes.
And breaking glass and fingers.
Then, when everything is about to just completely deteriorate with these mutants, the ambulance full of white-coated wankers shows up. That's what I wrote, white-coated wankers. They separate everybody. They rescue Jeannie from the mutants, and they rescue everybody from the mutants. They have Michael in custody, I guess you can call it. And he's like, where are you taking us? And he's like, I'm taking you down to hell, boy.
That was
like, what?
And it's not even that he's saying it with his New Zealand accent or his regular voice. He says it in almost like a country western.
I'm taking y'all down.
Lilt. And it's like, oh, that was amazing.
I'm taking you down to hell, Sonny.
That's the same guy who plays the preacher, the minister.
Where are you taking us? I'm taking you down to hell, boy.
So now we get to the this is almost the end of the movie, by the way. And there's a lot left. But holy shit, you can sum this stuff up pretty easily.
Well, what I've noticed, and I was going to say this when we were talking about the ferry scene, these scenes that last 5 minutes, there's so much abruptness and so much going on that it takes 20 minutes to explain what
the fuck.
Meanwhile,
triple meanwhile.
Yeah, and it's just like without it, and if you leave it out, it just won't make fluid. It doesn't make a fluid line. I mean, you could, but it would be like, just so much atmosphere and.
It's like what I once said to Marky Karloff, The Force Awakens. It is pandemonium at the hospital / research facility or whatever. Just mutants are everywhere. Nurses are getting killed. Guys in lab coats are spurting blood. Their guts are hanging out. Michael gets separated on purpose. He just takes a knife and runs off to go confront Dr. Howell, and that leaves Lucas and Sandy to take care of Jeannie, who's just getting worse and worse. And my God, this actress who plays Jeannie, she's bleeding, she's screaming, she's crying. It's like, I wasn't even supposed to be here today.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
She was the Dante of this film.
It was really good. Oh, man.
There we go with Kevin Smith again.
Hey, we were talking about Kevin Smith remaking this as Tusk 2.
The Tuscaning.
The Tusk Down Under. So Jeannie, she's trapped in a room with a mutant, and she starts throwing shit at it. And she throws a bottle of, ether or something.
Something flammable.
Into the space heater?
Yeah. Which, of course, they keep the space heater in the room with all the noxious chemicals and flammable liquids.
The mutant catches on fire, and then Jeannie's caught on fire.
Because she's just standing there, and she realized her blanket was burning. And thankfully she was wearing one of those mutant costumes underneath it, because it caught fire.
Now, ladies, you know when it's that time of the month, you get a little puffy.
It's lots of cotton.
And your arms get puffy. And then you catch on fire. But luckily, Jeannie doesn't suffer much more, because then the room explodes. Bye-bye!
I get it now.
Her sex was on fire?
No, when they say it's red at that time of the month, it's flammable.
the what is it?
Red River Valley?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Michael confronts Dr. Howell, and there's a great exchange between the two of them. Dr. Howell very confident that he's going to be able to talk Michael out of murdering him, and he's not. Stabby. He stabs him so many times that the copy had to resort to the VHS version with all the, just like stabs him like 11 times or something.
Murderer. You murderer. No. I had a vision. You were part of that vision. Well, for Christ's sake, I'm gonna kill you. Oh! Nobody is going to kill me, Michael. There are hundreds who've undergone the process all over the land. You know, it's only a matter of hours before they start to melt down. But there are others out there who haven't even started. Come, I'll show you. You see, Michael, the genetic recombination, it's mutated. I can't stop it.
I don't want to hear any more of that shit, Hal.
Now, Michael, you must realize that I must survive if this is to be stopped. Only I can make them live again.
Your time's up, Hal.
Trust me, Michael. You must trust me.
Then Lucas gets killed by Spider.
Which is one of those blink and I missed it.
You're like, what?
Parts.
And that's when you think that Michael and Spider are going to have their big showdown. But the Spider just looks at him, looks at us, looks at the camera, and just says, I'll get you. I'll get you all. And then, whoop, he's out of the movie. But more importantly, a frickin' iris fade out. There's been so many crazy cuts in this movie that they've resorted to an iris, and it feels like the end of the movie.
It was fantastic.
The first end of the movie.
I'll get you. I'll get you all.
They get out, both Michael and Sandy get out. And they go to the drive-in.
Stranded at the drive-in.
Sandy! Why did we wait so long for that joke?
You know what? And we made it earlier. And
we made it again.
Couple of haters here.
So, they're driving away, and Michael's completely bonkers. And Sandy's trying to get through to him, and finally he stops at a wreckage of a bunch of like ambulances and cop cars, and everything's on fire. And she's like, don't get out of the car, don't get out of the car. He gets out of the car and is having a spaz out moment where he's like laughing and crying and freaking out. Then they notice that there's a dead body up on the telephone pole, and the telephone, the electrical wires are starting to fizzle. And she's like, no! And then the wires fall and electrocute Michael. And that's it. He's dead. Then the last scene of the movie is her running away, and it freeze frames, leaving no showdown with Spider, which I don't know why I remembered there being a showdown.
Well, that's, I think
a very weird open-ended ending.
I love it. And at the same time, it's not how I remember seeing it.
Yeah.
And what I would have loved, it's been so long since I've seen this that I've forgotten the film.
Me too.
Just scenes. What I would have loved to have seen would have been the reason the wires fell was Spider. And then maybe his face coming up behind Sandy as she's running away. Then cut.
That would have been bizarre, but it would have been great.
It would have been such a downer ending. Because
Yeah.
there's at least some hope.
Yeah, that she might be okay. She might get off that island and start a new life.
Where's the, and was the ferryman part of the...
He was in on it.
Yeah, but was he at the asylum? Was he one of the orderlies? Or a
Didn't see him.
fat boy disorderly?
If the Three Stooges made you laugh yourself sick, the Fat Boys could put you in the hospital. In Disorderlies.
Oh my god, Disorderlies. Holy shit. That is an obnoxious movie, by the way. Oh god, it's bad. Oh, yeah. That is one of those movies that had a theatrical release, I'm assuming.
It did.
But it is a perfect, let's dump this on 90s cable. Like, that's where I saw it, and I was like, holy crap, I need to get out of the house. This is a terrible day.
In my early teens, mid-teens, when it came out, there were a lot of commercials for it on MTV.
Oh, yeah.
And
they're pushing it hard.
Yeah, and I can remember it playing at a theater maybe for a week or two. And none of us had the whole phenomenon of the Fat Boys were extremely talented dudes, but the joke could run then.
The gimmick. Ooh. Oh, I like that.
I didn't even mean it that way.
The joke could run fat.
Oh.
Boy. So that's the end of the movie. The Sex Pistols credits come back up.
Very much like there's a you could use Red Carpet Massacre by Duran Duran, where they did that red with the white overlay with the black letters, very bold. It was a very like Star Magazine kind of.
Yeah, totally. It's beautiful. I love when credits are just strange in some way.
Yeah. Very striking, very simple, and very effective.
And the music kept playing after it was over, so you expected something else to come at the end.
For about 45 seconds after the screen had gone black, it was just this eerie sort of,
I liked when Thanos shows up and goes, "Fine, I'll do it myself." Hamina, hamina, hey, Marvel. Can you regulate? Let's see what else I have here. Just as far as the people behind this movie goes, and then a couple of little trivia things where we talk about what we loved about it, or disloved. Cinematography is by James Bartle.
Bartles and James did the cinematography?
That's why I was so drunk. No, Bartles and James did the fucking editing. That's why it's so crazy. You're going to like this cinematographer, James Bartle. Bartles and James.
And thank you for your support.
He also was cinematographer on The Quiet Earth.
That, I can see that.
The producer, Murray Newey, he was assistant director on the pirate movie.
Newey, N-U-I?
N-E-W-E-Y. So I knew you'd enjoy that.
Oh, well then. I've got that DVD right there.
Bam!
I've got Christy McNichol on my phone from the pirate movie.
Yes.
Loving, laughing, leaping, and swinging their way through time in the biggest, most original movie in 100 years, the Pirate Movie.
He also produced the unfortunate thing I mentioned earlier was My Grandpa is a Vampire. Executive produced Jack Be Nimble, that movie I mentioned earlier as well. So this was distributed by Avid Video on VHS in the 90s and by Vestron Video in the 80s, which is where I found it. Let me read to you real quick where I found out about this film. The Official Splatter Movie Guide by John McCarty. This is a fun book for finding splatter movies. Let's see. 1989 is when this came out. Such an essential, fun book. This was great before you could really download everything online and before things were getting reissued on Blu-ray and there was a glut of titles that hadn't showed up on DVD yet. So these kinds of books were essential for at least finding out about movies still.
I know you've referenced that book many times, and it's come to our aid a bunch.
This was at the library. I checked this out and checked it out and checked it out, and finally I found it for $1 and its sequel for like $2. So I have both of these almost in brand new condition. I read about this on page 35. Death Warmed Up. Michael Hurst is a semi-psychotic superhero in the Mad Max tradition, who finds himself on an uncharted island where the evil doctor who created him is now involved in creating a race of mutant warriors in his image. Realizing that his super violent superhero status is in jeopardy, and that if the doc's plan succeeds, he will become just another contorted face in the crowd, Hurst takes on the Mad Bunch in a fight to the death. Slick and sick. That's his entire paragraph. What does that scream to you?
That they were trying to force it into the same hole as Mad Max, and they use the term superhero and uncharted because apparently there's a ferry to the island, so it's not uncharted.
It was charted.
And
I don't think they saw it. I think he didn't see the movie.
I think he looked at the box.
Yes.
Do you still have the Vestron box?
No. I sold the tape after I burned a copy of it.
I'm wondering if the original box was something like 1992, The Fall of New York, where it had.
I know. I should have done that. I didn't think of that. I like to read off the back of the tapes. I can find it in my.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's.
Because I bought the tape on eBay super cheap or on Amazon for a couple bucks, and I burned it to DVD for you and I. And then I immediately sold it for 5-10 times what I paid for. It was great. I wish I'd kept it now that I actually have a few of my favorite tapes. I would like to have kept this one. Yeah. I actually found a really good picture of the VHS. I should be able to read off the back to see what it says.
He does pull it in, like I was saying earlier, about it being in the post-apocalyptic genre, set in the future kind of thing.
Okay, here we go. Death Warmed Up is the award-winning thrill-a-minute festival of fright that has delighted horror fans and critics alike. It's a completely over-the-top film that throws good taste out the window in favor of a good laugh. From the makers of Australian award-winning films The Man from Snowy River and Far Lap comes a totally different film. Death Warmed Up revolves around the twisted human experiments of Dr. Asher Howell, a prestigious and prominent neurosurgeon. Howell leaves his regular residency, escaping to an isolated island where he practices his own brand of disturbed medicine. Transcranial Applications is, at a glance, an ultra-modern facility with a dedicated team of doctors and nurses, but under close scrutiny it becomes a hospital of horrific and human humiliation. Dr. Howell is transforming innocent people into crazed mutant killing machines. That provided less information than I thought it would.
Yeah, that was... Because it makes no mention of good guys.
The superhero.
The superhero. It makes me wonder if they might have mixed up some boxes when they were reading the back of them. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't think John McCarty saw this one. But that's what inspired me to check this movie out.
It's, yeah. And between those two descriptions is the third description, which is the actual film. Yeah. And it was a delight.
There you go.
It was fun.
This was distributed by Skuros Pictures in the U.S., which distributed The Quiet Earth, which we've mentioned about 10 times now, and Zed and Two Knots.
Oh, yeah.
Another
Zoo. Yeah.
Classic film there. So I have some taglines here. I love taglines. It's my favorite thing when I'm piecing together these shows now.
Pure superhero action.
Here comes one. You have only one life to live, but there are many ways to die. And finally, pray you never check into transcranial applications.
Wow.
Vestron Video really playing up that aspect of the movie.
It had the big words in it, so they were like, oh, let's use that.
So wrapping this up,
enjoyable atmosphere. Such an unexpected and fun ride. Don't judge it harshly while watching it. Just enjoy the ride.
Yeah, don't take notes on it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a little bit confused. Now I want to find the DVD.
And see how different it is.
See if there's because their first impression, first time I watched it, X number of years ago, it was a lot more like the beginning of the film.
Right.
The full expanded picture. And it's not like I only watched 10 minutes of the film. It's like,
yeah.
I just remember it being more concrete.
Yes.
But it was fun. It was fun and dreamlike and kind of creepy in that way that it's like you can't quite put your finger on what's going on.
Right.
Can't see straight there, and such an open ending. Good stuff. What'd you think?
Well, this is easily one of my favorite things that I temporarily rescued. I mean, like I've been complaining, this needs a Blu-ray badly. But this film felt like it was for me when I finally found that tape and I got it home and I put it on DVD just from my, analog player to the digital, and just, I'm saving this. No one's ever heard of this, but in rare old books. And it was just so fun. And of course, Mill Creek spoiled everything by putting it out too. No, I'm joking. I'm glad everybody can see this film now. I'm hoping that people get excited about it and actually want to restore it properly. The lighting is wild. The editing is fun with the arrow wipes. There's an arrow wipe that goes one way. At the beginning of the scene, there's the arrow wipe that goes the opposite.
Which added to that shock treatment feel of it.
And then there's the iris close. It's all kinds of crazy editing to put this thing together. The writing is fun. Like we said, it's like a little kid wrote it. There's chaos and weirdness, and it's just you can't question this film's pacing at all because it's so on. Love the gore. I do have a theory about what makes New Zealand films so special. And it's the theme you were talking about, where it's not even 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's 1 degree of Bruno Lawrence.
Yeah.
And that makes New Zealand films feel like a family affair. It makes them feel quaint. And it makes, at least from my impression of this movie, an exploitation film like this, a splatter film like this, isn't something that they're ashamed of. Like, they're like, yes, good for New Zealand. Like, the commission, the New Zealand Film Board approves this title. And so everyone's trying to do anything they can to make a splash overseas and get money back into the country and just get some New Zealanders in the frickin' seats at the theater, too. Yeah. It's really fun. So
that's totally agreed. And there's a
character to it.
To some extent, Australian film is much the same way.
Exactly.
It's gotten much bigger now, and it's a United States-sized country, so it's going to outgrow it all. But I mean, if you watch some of those films from Australia from the 90s and early 2000s, and of course back into the 80s and 70s, it had that very similar closeness.
Yeah.
And even if it's not a film subject you're interested in, you're still rooting for it.
Totally. And I cared about these characters too.
It was kind of criminal that there's no wiki about this.
Yeah. Before we go, we want to briefly talk about a film that we keep sort of talking about doing, but I don't think either of us are willing to do an episode on it, maybe, is The Tattooists. Because I remember you were like, dude, first Samoan horror movie, and you sent me the trailer, and I was like, that looks like a something. And then you watched it.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it and didn't rush out and buy it.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting concept. The lead guy is the guy from that TV show Roswell. So it's just like, let's drop a Palangi right in the middle of this and into this story that should have been some New Zealand actor or even an Australian actor.
He's like the whitest guy. Like,
yeah, it
most
was just
normal.
Like, no offense to the dude. He's a fine guy, but but it's like, okay, that would be like, The Tattooist, does all Samoan film starring Justin Timberlake kind of thing, if it were a bigger budget.
Well, yeah, they were trying to appeal to other countries with this guy, but
it was kind of, and I get it, it's kind of opening the door, but the film itself was set mostly in New Zealand and Samoa. And
yeah.
It had a lot of the New Zealand actors in it from Sione's Wedding and from a bunch of the other, the brilliant David Fane was in it, who was part of, is it the Laughing Samoans? Or he's a comedy troupe, but he had a very serious, made up to be much older role. And it was like,
whoa,
that was amazing. It just proves how good of an actor he is. Yeah, I would like to do an episode of it, but the film itself suffers from its time placement. It suffers from being the mid to late 2000s.
Yeah.
And all the things you just test, like the jerky motion cuts. Yes. And it's stuff like that. Few things really work in it. The more I'm thinking about it, the warmer I feel about it. Maybe we should But it should be paired with something else for that.
Give us something else to talk about.
I mean, I want to give it props because it is a Samoan production, and by the same token, if it were a Dutch film that came out with the same thing, I would have been like, oh, more of the same. I'm trying not to be too glowing or too harsh about it, but
it is what it is.
Yeah, maybe one of these days we'll split a pack of Hubba Bubba and drink a Mountain Dew and
a Mountain Dew.
Traditional Samoan food. I'll make some Samoan food.
That would be awesome.
We have to go kill a pig.
Okay.
We have the boom mic.
Yeah. The boom mic dropped in on my lingerie. Nafa, thank you for joining me once again at your house.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Oh. There's no way to end it without gay.
Oh, later.
Hello, This is the Doom Show is a proud member of the Legion Podcast Network. Please check out the other shows at legionpodcasts.com. If you want more of Hello, This is the Doom Show, check out doomedmoviethon.com or hellodoomedshow.podomatic.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at doomedmoviethon or email the show doomedmoviethon@gmail.com. We're also in the air. Look up